6:30 on February 4th. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as may be amended.
On the agenda, the only thing that I don't have, which I hoped to have today, was the Irene bond update, so there's nothing to cover.
So it's listed, but there's nothing there yet?
Yeah.
They just haven't gotten back to you?
They haven't gotten back to me. I thought I was gonna hear it today, but I haven't yet.
Okay, so we don't really need to take it out, we just
No, just so you
skip
know.
over it. All right, all in favor of accepting the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Entertain a motion to accept the minutes of January 21 as may be amended. I did not have anything in this.
They looked okay to me.
Yeah, I mean, I read them online and bring them
I'm all
down.
good.
We're good? Okay. Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes of January 21 as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Entertain a motion to accept the minutes of January 31 as may be amended. And again, I had nothing, this was our special meeting.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the minutes of January 31, please say aye.
Aye.
This is sort of tongue-in-cheek, but since the sign is up, I don't have any concerns.
Good. I don't either.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Wait, you're the extent of our citizens? Anything for you tonight? Okay. You're okay with the water tank being up high?
Okay, right above you?
Goes back to you. Thank you. Do we have Board of Liquor Control?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
This is just an FYI one. We have one special event permit for the 14th Star Brewing, doing business as Aqua VT. It's the Pico Mountain Takeover event. She just wanted you to know. No action is required. We have an outside consumption permit from Killington Restaurants at the Bear Mountain Lodge for the Subaru Winter Festival. It's, the 21st and the 23rd of February at the Bear Mountain Lodge. If you'd like, there's a map included with the permit.
Because they basically put up a perimeter that you
Yeah, it's
have to
basically,
be within to drink, if you're gonna have a
It's the
drink.
same as the mobile challenge and all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Paper cut?
What? No,
Well,
that
I
looks like more than a paper cut.
that was, not really need to tell this. but
Okay.
The other day on Saturday, I was going down my stairs in socks on my wood steps and went down and landed on my left shoulder, so I just reached beyond my range of motion.
Okay. Entertain a motion to have the town clerk sign or whatever she needs to do for those liquor control.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And then there's one first-class
Oh, you have
liquor,
another, okay.
first-class liquor license renewal, which is Pinnacle Spa and Lounge. It's just it's a renewal, no changes.
Yep.
And just need a motion to allow Lucretia to sign.
Pinnacle has what?
Pinnacle needs to renew their license at the spa downstairs.
First
in
class,
one of their
first
buildings.
class.
Okay.
It's, the whole thing with now it's first class and third class, and
Yeah,
so they had to
Okay.
add another permit to it.
Make a motion for Lucretia to move ahead with that.
Okay, all
Town
in
clerk.
favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Rental registration to warn the public meeting.
Okay, I gave you, because
We have 3 copies,
you have 3
depending on what
copies
we
of
decide.
different warnings. So we can do this. When we last met, we talked about having the two separated, the rental registration program and the accessory dwelling and the driveway permits. The reason I separated these is I thought they were 10-day notices, they're 15, which puts us off the 18th unless we move our 18th meeting to the 19th. So if the board wanted to go with the whole thing at once, where we do all of it at the same one, that would be the first one where all 3 definitions are listed. I mean, all 3 sections of the dwelling unit, and it would be held on Tuesday, February 25th, where we would do all the zoning amendments for the warning. If not, we would do the one I have here that has the Tuesday to 25th, it's just the short-term dwelling unit would be still on the 25th, we would warn that, and I have a blank in the space at 6:30 PM where we would list the other date.
So what's the date after the 25th?
Well, that would be town meeting.
Town meeting. And we do have a meeting before anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't want to do, I don't want to get,
No, and that's fine. If you wanted to do it like a pre-town meeting
Yeah.
one, we could do it at like 5:30 or something.
this will
Whatever
take
time
2
it works.
minutes to-
What's that?
This will take 2 minutes to do,
Right.
this one. I just don't want
We could
people-
also do part of it at our regular scheduled meeting on the 18th, if we want to separate.
No, we can't do
No,
it because I don't have 15 days, I only have
Oh,
14.
the 8th,
If we wanted to
Oh.
move the 18th meeting to Wednesday, the 19th,
the
we could do
19th,
it.
that's what I meant.
We could
was
just
to
swap
move
that
it a
meeting
day.
one day. So it's how, I just wanted to see how the board wanted to address it, and then we'll just,
Yeah, I don't
Do
want
Do
to
you think
switch
we
out
need an
meetings
extra meeting?
today.
No,
I don't want to make
Right.
a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday.
right.
You know, the citizens
we'll do it
that
on-
show up, we don't want to mess them up.
so we'll
Okay.
do it on March, the town meeting's March 3rd, right?
Yeah,
March 3rd
yeah.
at 6:30, because we start at 7 for the other. And then we'll do it you want to do that at the school? Just ahead?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
not going to run.
So I just need a motion to warn the meeting for the proposed zoning amendments for section 417 accessory dwelling units and 640 certificate of occupancy and use for March 3rd at 6:30 at the school.
So moved.
Okay. Anything further?
6:30, what time is our town
I think it's
meeting?
at 7.
Okay, so that's fine. We're going to get there early anyway.
Do we need anything further on those two items?
Then I'm going to make a motion to approve the warning for Killington zoning bylaws, February 25th.
For the short-term rentals?
For the short-term rentals,
On the 25th,
on the 25th at 6:30 PM.
and that one's here.
And that will be here, right? Okay. All those,
Just make sure that the one that we just did here at 6:30, you know, the motion was for the school,
Yes.
not the Sherburne Memorial Library.
Right, yeah, I noted that on my sheet, so I'll make that
Yeah.
adjustment.
Okay.
Thank you.
all those in favor of those two motions, please say aye. Aye. Okay, those are set. Policy review and update.
Well, basically, we have several policies that for one reason or another have come up. Either we don't have one or discussions, and I just wanted to have a brief conversation about what we want to do. I thought, what we might try to do is try to knock one off a month type of thing, and look at them. So, the ones that have come to the head right away are the driveway permit revision, which becomes instead of a one-part driveway permit, it's a two-part. That doesn't necessarily have to change any of the regulations, but, there is a VLCT go-by to do that. And, we want to look at doing that because one of the issues we have right now, and part of it is being addressed in the zoning amendment, is we had no recourse. Nobody would ever call the town back and say they're done with their driveway and they're getting a CO if there's no connection. We weren't checking that the driveway was built as it was approved.
Right.
So what this will allow you to do is it would create a situation where you have a permit to construct, and then you get your recordable approval later, once the work is done and approved by the town. So it becomes a two-part process with an approval. And the zoning amendment would allow them not to issue a certificate of occupancy until they've completed that process. This is the two parts that will allow it, to make sure that we don't end up with driveways that don't get paved against paved roads or are discharging all their stormwater into the road, which they're not allowed to. We have the recourse to be able to deal with it, because the only recourse we have now is literally to close the driveway. We can't tell them to fix it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It just becomes a much more complicated process. So this will just make it easier and also better for the homeowner to know that they meet all the requirements and it's done. The next thing is a fleet safety manual, something we don't have right now, which basically deals with how all staff and town employees use town vehicles and equipment. It talks about safety, it talks about procedures and policies on how they can deal with it, and also things like, one of the things that we have not addressed yet is if you leave the state exempts towns from people having physicals to drive trucks for CDLs. But if they cross state lines, which we have to for multiple suppliers we have, technically they're in violation for not having that. So if they got picked up on those states, they could have issues. So, you know, do we want to include those things that'll cost us like $500 a year? So everybody gets a physical every year that allows them to drive, but that is something that would be covered in this. Facilities use permit. This came to a discussion related to at least one organization that uses town property to hold an event, and we don't get paid a fee. It's basically they provide just an insurance certificate, but they are charging an entry fee. They are making a profit. They are using the inside of the building. We have to staff those things. So one of the things that I had these separated, this and a special events permit, which we talked about for having to be able to charge for police coverage and different things, but we might incorporate all of this into a special event permit, because then we can say, well, if you're going to, in a special event permit, you go get your permit, and if you're going to use a town facility, here's the charge. If you're using the building, it's this much per day, it's, and coming up with a fee structure, just so we can address all of these things, because it is a concern when somebody is charging a fee, an entry fee, and the town is supplying labor and the taxpayers are paying to support that program, but not getting reimbursed for our actual costs. So this is basically about just covering cost. The other, transfer station and solid waste ordinance. The solid waste ordinance hasn't been updated since somewhere in the late 80s, I believe. So looking at getting that updated, and the transfer station part was the discussions we've had preliminarily about the fee structures haven't been adjusted since 2007. I've already been in contact with Casella regarding, you know, what does it cost per yard and things of that nature. So I will be putting together a program to make a recommendation and then look at that. And the last one I have on this list, and there are more that we want to, is a highway and facilities maintenance plan. It's a plan I actually started a couple of years ago. If you look in our ordinances, we have a I got too many things open. Where'd he go? Oh, that's on that. It's supposed to be in Word, sorry. We have a plan in place for if someone wants to take over, wants the town to take over a road and what the road construction issues need to be. What we don't have is one that says if somebody's just making a modification to the road, or if they're gonna build a road to town standards, what is that town standards? The only thing we have in the ordinance is the actual request for us to take it over, but we just should have the actual specifications. We should have things like a road opening permit, so if somebody is going to go and dig up our roads, that they have to put it back within these standards, that we're allowed to go inspect it before they close it back up. Because we have had situations where utilities break in the winter and they dig them all up and they put the gravel back in all upside down, and then we end up with a bigger mud hole in the spring than we started with. So just coming up with a system that would actually, and this is taking the ordinance that already exists and just applying it to this program, and then adding a road opening permit. And this goes as far as talking about our pavement replacement program that's in our sustainable fund, the ditch maintenance program, driveway permits, road opening permits, bridge and culverts and how we're doing those. And there's even here snow removal, and I took these things from the state, which talks about the level of service, how we prioritize. Snow removal routes, it will talk about what each truck does in their route, so you know, you would actually know. And then there's a thing in here that talks about if damage happens to mailboxes and things like that, like basically if we're plowing snow and we're throwing snow off the road and it takes down your mailbox, that's not the town's responsibility, but if we hit the mailbox with a plow, then it's our responsibility to replace. So this just kind of memorializes all of the items that go with the highway department and what our trucks are. And some of this still has to be updated some more, but this is something I started a couple years ago, and there was not a lot of interest in going there, and then we would have a whole section on the facilities and what their status is and what they have, like what they have for wastewater, what they have for water, what their electrical services are. We just would identify all of the pertinent facts for each item. So what this is basically an FYI, and also a discussion related to, how would you want to, is there anything you want to prioritize, and we just get started with it? I mean, to me, the first one I thought about was the special events and getting that underway, and then also then moving right into the driveway permits and the transfer station. I'd really like to do this transfer station before bulky day this spring. It would be good.
So do you want to combine special events with facility use?
Yeah, I think the facility use permit and special events are
I
going to
mean, it
become
seems to make
one and the
sense to
same.
put the two together.
Yeah, I think that's going to basically what it is, because it's basically going to be a fee structure and a permit setup that we set it up that way. Because we do have, what we have right now for events use is, we just had a policy that really just dealt with liability issues. You know, like you had to sign for liability, so we would incorporate this into that process and our insurance requirements and things of that nature, if they're using our facility. So just trying to draw something up that works like that.
Where are we on that? So other towns, do we have fee rates, or are you gonna have that all to us when we have that meeting? Of what the rate is, if
Yes.
it's a big event,
Yes,
and we talk about other ski towns where they
because basically,
charge, so when
we're-
our police department is supposed to be out there for us, but if it's a special event and then they're
Well,
all there.
I look at it, and then using that as an example, the police department, typically, they're working a 40-hour regular week doing patrol. The events should not be included in that 40 hours. They should be an overtime issue, and in addition to our regular 40 hours of coverage. We don't want to reduce coverage in order to do that, so looking at how we're going to address that and put that
in
in
the
the process.
event, if there is a bonfire and it's, you know, the fire department needs to be
Right.
Yes,
there, and they also need to have
yeah, and
some kind of
they
fee
have
for that, because
they
I've been up there a few times where there's been
have a
some
fee
large
structure.
bonfires.
It's for, but
They
this-
have a fee structure for calls, and we would incorporate that into that
No, but I
process.
mean, make sure that there's a truck
Right.
there at
Right.
the
Should be
site. Not
anybody-
called on as an emergency. because-
Correct,
anybody from the town that gets called to be there,
Yeah.
right.
whether it's something happens or whether it's to be there in case something happens,
Right,
we still should be charging a fee for that.
right.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that for those big burns or whatever, that's, the
Yeah.
truck is there, loaded, ready to go in case.
Right.
Yeah. And I figured we'd start these probably the first meeting after town meeting. We'll
Okay.
start addressing these. So I just wanted to give you a heads up and then see if, we were on the same page in general.
The highways and facility, the maintenance plan.
Yeah, that's
Talking
probably,
about the difference, making sure that people put it back together correctly.
yes.
I mean, is the town manager going to be there?
No, what
to
we would
make
do
sure,
is,
or is the highway?
would be the highway department. We would actually say that before they close it, they have
As
to
they
call
do,
and get
yeah.
an inspection to close it.
I just want to make sure that was,
Yeah.
yeah, I did it.
And the other question is, because a lot of the places, most places that do road opening permits require like $1,000 down or something like that, just in case they don't, it's just an incentive program. And we can give it back, it's basically bonding or just cash. But just to come up with something to incentivize building things right, because we're spending a lot of times fixing our roads right now, and especially we get into paved roads, then it becomes a much bigger nightmare when they're digging.
I was
out.
just asking how we were going to make sure they did it, so you're going to
Yeah.
have the highway, and it's
Yeah.
going to be in there.
Yep,
The highway foreman will go and watch as they're closing it up that day.
correct.
So
So-
you don't really need a motion
No,
for us to put this on?
from what I understood, everybody was kind of nodding, and you think the ones that, the priority I'm looking at and starting is, because the highway one will take a little bit longer to get done. I'm thinking that might be like a summer one, to address, but some of these others I want to get kind of going now as soon as we can get going.
Right.
I would get the driveway done pretty quick, because you're going to have driveways permits
Yeah.
start coming in for the
Right.
springtime.
But we have special events during the winter,
And then we
so
have-
that's the first thing that's
Well,
probably
special
going
There's
events-
to...
some in the summer.
I would
No, I know,
say
but
that
Yeah.
have
April,
it done for what's coming up in the spring.
Right.
having a
yeah.
special
then-
events permit in place somewhere by April 1st would be perfect, because we'd have that transition time where nobody's doing it, and then we can address it going forward.
Okay.
Most of our roads, aside from whatever, the dirt roads are closed up until like April 15th or whatever.
By statute, we close them to May 15th, and we open them if they firm up sooner.
Right, so, but I'd like to get that done, so.
Yep.
Okay,
All right.
all right. So the bond bank didn't get back to Chet, so we don't have an update on the Irene bond. So managers report?
Well, just under manager's report, I was just gonna bring to your attention, I gave everybody a copy of the sheet that's going in the book for tax rate, estimates. The town tax rate last year was .4665. This year it's .4717, which is a half a cent increase. We had projected a 2.8 cent increase, 2.87.
Yeah.
The difference was just a modification of how some of the payments going. We'll probably see some of that again when next year comes, but we were able to defer it a year before we had to increase anything. So our increase is below cost of living increase. The school, we got their numbers like 2 days ago. They're proposing, well, the non-residential rate from last year was 1.5891. It went up to 1.6982, or just under 11 cents.
That's the non-resident.
The non-residential. The residential rate went from 1.6343 to 1.72, which is about 8.5 cents.
Isn't it 1.6241?
Well, that was probably the actual. This was what was in the book.
Yeah, it was 1.
It was about a cent lower than that, yes.
The actual was 1.6241.
Yeah. So in essence, for lack of a better word, we're right around 9.5 cents of actual increase from last year, related to the school. Our grand list stayed relatively flat, and
And
sort
our
of total.
CLA went down.
Our CLA went down about, of that 9.5 cents, or whichever one you want to talk about, right around 4 cents of it was the change from the state and the increase. I mean, was from the CLA, and then the rest of it was from the increases in both the state and the school district's increase. So it was like 3.5 cents, I think, was the CLA or something like that. Actually, I can look it up for you right now. I have it right here. Oop, lost it.
I think the CLA was almost 5 cents. I think the school
So
side
there
was
was one point, the total equalized rate was 1.6758. And so that other
CLA
4.5
is
cents.
97.
97.40, so the actual change was about 4.5 cents was related just to the CLA.
And we
So-
cannot control the CLA.
No, the CLA is just how prices are going on the houses that are sell.
I think if you look at the school one that I had dropped off, it's like .038
Yeah,
for the actual school increase, and
Right.
then the CLA brings it up to that almost 9 cents or
Right.
whatever.
so that's, yeah, the 1.6758 and the last year was 1.642, that's about 5 cents from the state and the school district.
Right.
So that's the calculation that came from the school right there.
We're meeting tomorrow morning.
So, and really, I don't have anything.
We're meeting tomorrow morning, the finance committee still.
Okay, I just didn't hear the end of it, that's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
meeting
So-
again tomorrow.
Right.
I don't have any other real exciting new business.
Yeah, this is informational. We don't motion on this because we don't have any control over it.
No, this was just, now we have it, this is the page
Yep.
that's going in the book.
Yep.
I thought it was good to report so everybody
No,
would
it's
know.
good. All right.
Other than that, I think I'm all done.
Do we have other business? Colleen? No? Okay.
Executive session, I don't have any.
I do not have anything for executive session.
Neither do I.
Motion to
okay.
adjourn.
All in favor of adjournment at
6:53.
6:53?
4. Just went 4.
Please say aye.
Aye.